What if I told you your future is already written on your hand? Sounds interesting, or maybe even convincing. But is it actually possible? Today we are exploring world of palmistry, a practice that claims reveal your personality, your relationship, and even your destiny just by looking on your hand. Okay, palmistry, also known as a chiromancy, is a practice of interpreting the lines and shape of your hand to describe personal characteristic and predict your future events. Practitioners believe that features such as lifeline, headline, and heart line represent different aspects of person's life, from emotion to decision making and even life paths. But here are the questions: Can hand really tell us who we are or what will happen next? Let's see. So, where did ideas come from, and how did something like that spread across the world? Historically, palmistry has rooted in several ancient civilizations, including India, China, Persia, and Greek. Many sources suggest that it begins in India as a part of broader system called Samudrika Shastra, a tradition focused on interpreting physical features of human body. From there, it spread across Asia, reaching China and Tibet, and eventually made its way into Europe, where it evolved and adapted to different cultural beliefs. Over the time, palmistry changed depending on where it was practiced. In some culture, it was closely connected to spirituality and destiny, while in others becomes a more of a social or entertainment practice. By the 19th century, palmistry became especially popular in Europe, where it was organized into a more structured system and widely taught through books and lectures. As the palmistry grew in popularity, several key figures played an important role in shaping and spreading the practice. One of the most important figure was William John Warner, who known as Shira. He was known as a celebrity palmist who read the hands of king, politicians, and famous writers, including Mark Twain and Oscar Wilde. Shira claimed he could reveal hidden truths about people and even predict future events. Whether people truly believed him or were simply curious, his influence helped bring palmistry into mainstream society. Another important figure was Edward Heron Allen, and one of the most well-known books on the palmistry was the Palmistry of Manuel Kairos, and his work attempt to explain palmistry in a more structured and systematic way, making it appears more like a format method of analysis. Later, William Gurney Benman published The Law of Scientific Handwriting, a scientific handwriting, a book that further organized palmistry and present it using scientific language, giving the impression of a more analytical and reliable system. From ancient uh, from ancient tradition to modern interpretation, palmistry has continued to evolve and capture people's attention. But the question still remains: Is palmistry meaningful insight into human nature, or simply fascinating beliefs shaped by culture and interpretation? To help us understand this better, I would like to ask Sufi to walk us through how palm reading perform and what different lines in the feature of the hand uh, are believed to represent.
So how does palm reading actually work? Palmistry is the idea that the lines and shapes on your hand can tell things about your personality and your life. Palm readers usually focus on four main lines: the lifeline, the heart line, the headline, and the faith line. The lifeline is a curved line around your thumb, and people believe it shows your life path and overall well-being. And some people think it tells you how long you're going to live. But palm readers say it's more about how your life is going to go, not about how long it is. Next is the heart line, which is near the top of your palm. This line connects to your emotions and relationships. For example, a long or deep line might mean someone is more open with their feelings and emotions. Then there is the headline. This line shows how you think and make decisions. A straight line might mean you are more logical, while a curved line might mean you're more creative. Then there is the faith line, which runs up the center of your palm. Not many people have it, but when it is prominent, palm readers believe it shows your life path, careers, and more. Palm readers also look at the shape of your fingers and hands. Some hands are more practical, while others are more creative and emotional. Another part is the mount, which are the raised areas on your palm. Each one is linked to a trait like confidence and communication. Overall, palm reading looks at all of these parts together, not just one line at a time. Palm reading combines everything to understand a person's personality and life.
The first question to discover the methods and evidence of chiromancy is to analyze why people may believe in palm reading in the first place. The first thing they might use is their confirmation bias, which directly means believing or supporting the validation of other people who feed into your pre-existing desires or expectations. The second way people may take palm reading accurately is the Barnum effect. And this effect generally means taking broad or generic statements too literally and seeing them as targeted specifically to yourself. Another way would be a cold reading, and cold readings are mainly controlled by the reader themselves. They have the ability to deceive their clients by providing statements that support their reactions. So if a client is giving an underwhelmed reaction to what the reader is providing them with, then the reader would tweak their statements and readings until it satisfies their clients. This is actually a persuasive method and can lead to the belief that all palm readers are pseudoscientists. In the 20th century, chiromancy was pretty popular, although it has ultimately failed to be an empirically scientific method, and nowadays it is seen as a pseudoscience. Some palm readers classified as pseudoscientists from the 20th century would consist of Julius Speer and Charlotte Wolfe. So Julius Speer believed in chiromancy as a designated learning path as he held lectures himself, and he believed that chiromancy could offer insight to self-actualization. He had claimed to use biological and intuitive reasonings when explaining the methods of palmistry and classified the right hand as the ancestral hand and the left hand as the hand of the individual personality. First, he explained thoroughly about the biology and nerve endings in the hand. He believes that science and attributes all connect to one's personality and thought processes. His specific reasoning was since the nerve endings in the hand all connect to the brain, the hand must correlate to the hand owner's character, personality, and mental and physical well-being, which are all aspects that reside in the brain's tissue, which are mainly located in the prefrontal cortex. His second method was his strong use of intuition, which he never explained in detail, but always claimed to have a strong intuitive feeling during his readings. Charlotte Wolfe, on the other hand, had been called to make uncritical and stereotypical readings towards her clients that mainly revolved around class, gender, or race. And the effects of this classified her as a pseudoscientist. So to further enhance chiromancy in the future, maybe palm readers would consider using edge detection, which is basically a digital image processing tool that analyzes changes in brightness, which then defines curves and outlines. This could be effective in chiromancy by providing a more accurate reading of the palm's 3 principal lines, and that they would appear more defined than usual.
So let me start with a simple question. If palm reading was really true, wouldn't it give the same results every time that we were using it? Today, I'm going to talk about chiromancy, which is also known as palm reading, and explain why it's not a reliable or scientific way to understand people or predict the future. Chiromancy is a belief that the lines on your hands can tell you about your personality, your future, and your relationships. Many people find it really interesting, and some people really believe in it, and honestly, I understand why. When someone reads your palm and says something that feels true to you, it can feel really surprising and personal. But when we think about it more carefully, there are many problems with this idea. First, let's talk about the consistency. In science, if something is true, it should give the same results every time that we're using it. But with palm reading, that does not happen. Different palm readers gives different answer to the same person. For example, one reader might say that you're really emotional, while another says that you're logical. So which one is correct? We don't know. If the results are different, that means that it is not reliable at all. It depends on the person that is reading your hands and not the real life and the real facts. Second, there is a psychological reason why palm reading feels real. A psychologist named Bertram Forer did a famous experiment. He gave the same personality description to many students, but he told each student that it was written just for them. Most students believe that it was very accurate. This is called Burnham effect. It means people believe general and vague statements are special and personal. For example, if I say you sometimes feel stressed, but you're a strong person, almost everyone will agree with that. These statements are not specific, but they feel true. Palm readers use many of these kinds of statements, which is why people believe them. Third, there is no scientific connection between palm lines and your future. Palm lines are just physical features, and they are formed before you are born, and they do not change your life. There is no evidence that these lines are connected to your brain, or your personality, or your future. Science shows that your life is shaped by your decisions, your experiments, and your environment, not by the lines on your hands. Also, another important point is that how our brain works. People usually remember the correct guesses and forget the wrong ones. So if a palm reader says 5 things and only one of them feels true, people focus on that one thing which was true. This makes it seem like the reading is accurate even when most of it was not. Also, if we compare chiromancy to other similar practices like astrology or fortune telling, we see the same problem. When scientists test these methods, they do not work better than random guessing. This shows that these methods are not based on the real evidence and real life. Now, let's compare palm reading to real science. The human brain. Scientists have studied the brain for many years and know the different parts that control different functions. For example, the frontal lobe helps with the decision making. The temporal lobe is important for memory. And the limbic system controls emotions and personality. These brain areas can be measured, studied, and observed. Damage or changes in these areas can affect behavior in predictable ways. This is real and evidence based science. Also, palm reading, on the other hand, looks at lines on your hands, like the heart line, lifeline, headline, and claims they can predict personality or the future. But there is no scientific evidence for this. Palm lines are simply physical features. They don't control your thoughts, behavior, or the life events that happening to you. If palm lines are really determine personality, everyone with similar lines would be the same, but they aren't. This shows palm reading has no real predictive power. In other words, the brain explains real causes of personality and behavior, while palm reading is just tradition and like something like entertainment. Science gives evidence. Palm reading gives the stories. That's the main difference in these two. So why people still believe in palm reading? There are a few reasons. First, it can be fun and interesting for people to know about the future and everything. Second, it can feel comforting, especially when people are unsure about their future. And third, people want to believe in something that gives them answers. But just because something feels true does not mean it's actually true. It is very, very important to think critically and ask questions. We should always ask, is there a real evidence for that? Or can this be tested? In the case of chiromancy, the answer is no to both of the questions. In conclusion, palm reading is not a scientific or reliable way to understand people or predict the future. It is better seen as a cultural tradition or something people do for entertainment. It may be interesting, but we should not depend on that for the important decisions and really believe in that.
Okay, so let's look at palmistry from the scientific and psychological perspective. As a group, we believe that palm reading is an interesting culture practice, but not a scientifically reliable method for understanding personality or pretending the future of someone. Uh, while it may feel accurate at some time, however, after explaining the evidence, it becomes clear that its claims are not supported by consistent or tested data. This highlight the importance of thinking and questioning idea that may seems true but lack scientific research. For example, many people visited palm readers during uncertain time in their lives, such as when they are worried about their relationship. Also, many time when they are like struggling from their bad time, their studies, and all. I know it's very common among people. So, if palm reading really works, has it already pretended that all of us getting A plus in this psychology course? Uh, mm, we will wait for it. Uh, yeah. Thank you.